What's up everyone, Ronnie Chavez here, and today we're going to be learning 10 basic tricks or moves to help you learning flips. This is for complete beginners. If you haven't learned any flips before and you want to just start practicing moves that will help you learn flips, that's what these 10 moves are going to be. And I'd also recommend on a couple of them to practice them on padding or something softer, but most of them you should be able to safely practice on grass. So let's get started jumping into our first move, which is one I'm sure you'll be familiar with, which is the cartwheel. Now the cartwheel is perfect for learning how to kind of go upside down while flipping your body and using your hands to support yourself. So to get started with the cartwheel, you're going to decide which way you want to go. I go to my right, which means I'm going to be jumping off my right leg and placing my right hand down in front of my right leg. And then at this point, as I reach down to plant my right hand, I'm simply going to reach my left hand over and kick my left leg. And as I'm kicking that leg, I start to jump onto my left hand and let my left leg kick me all the way around. It's okay if starting out you're not going completely upside down. Just focus on kicking that leg, planting your hands, and keeping your leg straight and out. As you get that move down smooth and more comfortable, you can start kicking it up more inverted, placing your hands directly in front of you, and just focus on really pushing straight up to a handstand and then flipping over. If you already have a really solid cartwheel, just practice doing it faster so you can get more power out of it if you're to ever learn how to do a side flip or full out of doing the cartwheel. Alright, the next beginner flip we're going to learn, which is actually a little bit more challenging than the cartwheel, but you can actually use the cartwheel to progress into it, is the front handspring. What you can start practicing is going into a cartwheel more straight on instead of sideways, and as you do the cartwheel, just let your legs come more over top of you. So you have your cartwheel, and then the next progression would be, instead of placing my hands like this, I might place them a little bit more in front of me and kind of kick over like that. So the more power you have in your cartwheels pushing from your hands, the easier this move will be. And once you have that move down, it's actually just one extra step to do the front handspring, and then you're there. So with the actual front handspring, you still want to get that power like a cartwheel, only you're pushing it all forward, straight up, kicking your leg up, doing everything the same, but everything's going forward and kicking it forward as you come through. So there's your basic front handspring. I do have a full in-depth tutorial I've done before on those, so be sure to check that out if you need more help learning your front handsprings. Alright, our next move is the macaco. This move is perfect for getting comfortable with the feeling of flipping backwards like a backflip. So with the macaco, the nice thing is you're actually starting down low. You want to be kind of in a crab position with your strong hand behind you. I like it just a little bit back, kind of right below where my shoulder naturally relaxes. And then from here, it's going to be jumping, pushing my hips up, kind of throwing my left arm for momentum. And then as I jump, I'm going to be kicking my right or left leg, whichever one you want. There's different styles to it. And then just kind of trying to get your hips and legs as high as possible to go over your head and using your arm for support. Now if you can't quite get it over, that's okay. You can start by just practicing a variation, which is where you're basically just kind of jumping to the side, almost like a vault on ground. So that way you're not going upside down, but you're getting the feel of that motion. And then as you get comfortable with the jump and the holding yourself with your hand, you can practice going more and more inverted. So our next beginner trick is going to be the bee kick or butterfly kick. So just like our previous tricks, you can progress into it without going completely for the jump. So the idea of the butterfly kick is to get your chest and legs parallel to the ground while you're in the air. So you're still not completely upside down, you're just parallel to the ground, and you're using your momentum and your kicking legs to kind of do a UFO motion as your legs flare out and then you land on your kicking leg. So basically what I'm going to do is, if I'm jumping off my right leg and spinning to the right with this kick, I'm going to be starting here, sweeping the ground as I move across towards my right leg, and then as I'm jumping, I'm lifting my chest up and kicking my back leg at the same time, so that my leg and chest are lifting my body up parallel to the ground. And then from there, I'm going to basically be spotting the ground as I do like a spin jump, you know, like a 360, only all that momentum with my chest and my leg will kick me higher in the air and allow me to do a B kick. So even if you're not going completely parallel to the ground, you want to just get this kind of spinning motion with your leg kick out while keeping your legs apart. That'll help you the most in learning this trick. And then from there, as you practice it and practice the sweeping of your chest and kicking of your leg, over time you'll get it to where you can get parallel to the ground. All right, let's move on to our next one, which is the dive roll. Now, before actually learning the dive roll, I would recommend you have a safety roll, parkour roll down really well so that you can do this smoothly, so that as you add more impact with the jump, you know how to properly roll out of it without getting injured. But the dive roll, just like these other ones, we can progress into by starting with the basic roll and then slowly jumping into it and working our way up. And just through your own practice of that progression, you'll find that it's pretty easy to start getting into the dive roll. Just make sure you don't start out going too high where you're not ready to take the impact, because if you land wrong, you can land on your head weird. So just make sure that you start it low and then only progress up however high you're comfortable doing it. The basic trick to the dive roll is that you're jumping up into the roll and you're going to use your arms to brace the impact and allow yourself to absorb some of the impact as you tuck into the roll, and the roll is also going to disperse some of that impact from the jump coming down. And you're going to reach with your hands to brace it and kind of bring them to one side of your body depending which way you roll as you tuck forward into the dive roll. So the last beginner trick on flat ground before we move on to bars and walls is the J-step kick, or J-step trick variations. So the basic trick to the J-step is that you start by moving forward and then you're going to kind of step out of that forward momentum and kind of push against that so that you can get kind of an awkward sideways block against that momentum, and that'll allow you to get spin as well as jump and as well as kick. So for me, I jump off my right leg, so I'm going to be doing the J-step and then kicking my left leg through as I jump off my right leg. And then from here, normally I would do a cheat gainer, but because we're just doing a simple trick, we're going to be doing the kick over from a J-step, which is basically, instead of kicking this leg straight up like I'm going into a flip, I'm going to be kicking it over and trying to land on this leg just like we did with the butterfly kick, only we're taking off from a J-step. You can even do a variation where instead of kicking, you try and tuck your knees in. You know you're getting good at the J-step when you can feel yourself getting higher and more powerful without traveling forward. All right, moving on to our first wall trick move. It's going to be the wall kickover. So just like we did the B kickover and the J-step kickover, it's going to be a very similar move, but kicking off the wall to help you get comfortable with stepping off the wall and kicking over. Now I'd recommend that you don't do this move over hard ground when you first try it, because you don't know what can happen, but you're still not trying to go upside down on this move. You're just trying to kick your leg around enough so that you can land on your kicking leg. So normally what would be my jumping leg, I'm going to be planting that leg on the wall and then kicking my left leg over it and trying to kick it high enough and kind of push away from the wall so I don't actually clip the wall or kick the wall. So you can kind of just start out by kicking off the wall to get a feel for it. And your first move, you can actually just kind of kick, but then try and spin and just land on both feet. And then as you get comfortable, you can actually try and land on your kicking leg. Our next trick is actually going to be the barrel roll over an object. Now it's best to find a soft, flat surface to practice this on. If you don't have something, you can get a friend, have them get down like this and just do it over their back. But basically what you're doing is like a roll, but over an object, so you kind of have to jump into a little bit. But starting out, you can actually start slowly by just stepping up into it and just kind of gently rolling onto your back and then coming onto your feet. The goal of this move is to get it where you can do it fast enough that you can kind of pop off of it and land on your feet smoothly. But starting out, it's just a matter of just practicing that rolling motion and coming around to your feet. So you can even start kind of sitting on it, and then as you drop your shoulder, the one that you normally roll on, you're going to kick your opposite leg over for momentum and then follow through with your other leg. As you start getting comfortable with the motion, you can start doing it a little bit faster. After you feel like you have the motion down and you're pretty smooth with it, you can actually start doing a little bit of a jump into it. But it's that as you're reaching down, you kind of do a little pop as you kick your leg. You can then start practicing trying to use it less and less, where you're only just slightly touching it with your back and popping off. And then eventually you might be ready to just try a side flip on flat ground. But for now, just get really good at the barrel roll over objects. So our last two tricks are going to be done on bars. Now you can usually find bars at playgrounds or swing sets, and sometimes they're just random bars around the city. But what you're going to want is a basic bar, and the first move we're going to learn, which is also going to be playing off of some of the previous tricks we've learned today, which is, once again, the kickover. So once you're on a bar, you're going to practice getting some swing. With this move, you don't need a lot of swing, but the more swing you get, the higher and cooler you can make it look. But basically what we're going to be doing is, as you're swinging forward, you're going to be kicking your legs and twisting, kicking one leg over and landing on your kicking leg. Swinging forward, you start kicking that leg up and around, and then you release, and then you have the momentum to get the kick around. Our last bar trick is the bar lever tuck through. So both of these bar moves will actually help you progress into doing flyaways and bar swinging flips, because they teach you techniques of releasing and swinging without doing anything super dangerous. So the bar lever tuck through is basically, you're going to be hanging and then you're going to be tucking your knees through like a backflip, and then pulling your feet all the way through and landing on your feet. So with this move, it requires a little bit of core strength, a little bit of arm strength, and just make sure that you're competent at holding onto a bar and not randomly letting go, that you can hold off long enough that you can land back on your feet if you need to. Starting out, if you don't quite have the strength to pull your knees all the way up, you can jump into it and kind of jump and kick your leg up to get your knees and hips up into that position, and then from there it's just a matter of tucking in tight, pulling your feet in so that you can fit your feet through. The goal with this move is that once you're upside down and tucking through, to spot the ground, and then kind of with your momentum from that tuck to release and land on your feet. So it's kind of imitating the feeling of doing a backflip and landing on your feet, or doing a flyaway and backflipping and landing from a flip. And so once you get familiar with that motion, you can actually practice doing it a little bit faster and faster and releasing a little bit sooner, so that it's mainly your momentum flipping you around. The next step from there to learning a flyaway is basically doing that with swing and just having more power and tuck into your flip. But I would also recommend not actually doing a full flip unless you're in a safe environment and have watched my tutorial on the flyaway. So there you have it, 10 flips, beginner flips that anyone can learn. Make sure that, once again, even though these are easy beginner flips to learn, that you progress into them, you start out slowly, and you just be smart and safe as you're learning these moves. And don't progress to anything, any real flips or crazy flips, until you're in a really safe environment and feel like you've progressed and have the body control to actually do it. So that's all I got for you guys today. Be sure to subscribe for more tutorials like this one, and thanks for watching.